If you can't help somebody, at least don't hurt them. Embrace each other. We are all in this race together. The race is not for the swiftest, but it's for those who endure to the end. And I believe in open communication. So if you have something to say, rather than go to pockets of people and tell them, go to the person and say, I have this issue, and claim it. Don't say you made me feel.
Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, How to Get It Just Right. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of insightful and deeply meaningful conversation. Goldilocks is reminding us of the importance of getting things just right. Because if we don't get things just right, it's going to be a little too far to the right or a little too far to the left, and we can't solve our problems unless we are coming from a place of centeredness to take perspective and be as inclusive as possible. Today, we're going to be talking about education and the importance of getting education just right. And to have this conversation with me is Miss Nadia. Nadia is joining us from Trinidad and Tobago. So you're going to hear a Caribbean vibe, a Caribbean perspective. Nadia is an acting principal. She's been an acting principal for 4 years in her school, and she's been a lifelong educator. Nadia, welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks.
Thank you so much.
As we get started, talk to us a little bit about what moved you and what inspired you to become a teacher.
Okay, well, it's every little girl's dream. With your dolls, you instruct them, you play, you talk to the trees. And since I was a little girl, I saw my both parents being highly organized. Initially, I wanted to be a doctor, but then I realized I didn't like blood. So I just was always empowered and asked to help my younger cousins. I have a lot of cousins who are around my age who inevitably also became educators at the primary and secondary level. So I just always liked teaching, and I also love people, and I am very deeply spiritual, and I believe your gift makes room for you, as well as you are supposed to give what you have good in you. And I just love people. I love sharing. I love socialization. I love collegiality and collaboration. So I saw it as a way to give back to society and a way to give my God-given abilities.
That is such a beautiful way to enter into the profession, because what's coming up for me is coming from the South Asian tradition. We believe knowledge is sustenance for the soul. It's nutrition for the soul. And those who are educators are truly investing and developing the soul, which is a deeper, more lasting investment than just investing in the body, right? So to me, what you're saying totally resonates. And being an educator and being organized, I can see the natural progression of why you became a principal. Talk to us a little bit about what you have learned about yourself in transitioning from being an educator to a principal educator administrator.
I am a very feisty person by nature. My mouth is a tool, it's a weapon. So transforming from the classroom, but just to give a little backdrop, I have been in education for 27 years. I started off in my country, we start off as an assistant teacher, primary 2, if you just have your O levels, CXC, and an assistant teacher 3 if you had A levels. In our school, you have to teach for 2, in our system, we have to teach for 2 years prior to going into the classroom. So I would have taught for 2 years And then I would have had 3 teaching practices. This one, my school that I'm presently at is one of the schools that I would have done my teaching practice, and the principal really wanted me back there. So after training college, I went there. So I've been there 22 years. I started off as assistant teacher primary 3. Then I moved to a normal teacher primary. Then I was head of department when I did my interview, acting vice principal, confirmed vice principal, and now the acting principal. But I was always a person who stood up for my rights. And sometimes, if you want to leash people, you don't allow them to speak. But not everything people speak, it's something for um, differences of opinion that would not lead to a solution. But being a principal, dealing with different personalities, you have realized it's so much easier to deal with the children than with the adults. And it has really engaged my spirituality because I have had forced, but a good thing to become calm, because you have to embrace all different personalities. You have to swallow deeply. You have to apologize when you don't feel to do it. But I have learned that before honor comes humility. So I have humbled myself, and even in times when you feel, you just have, if somebody tells you something that you already know, you just have to say thank you and embrace it. Sometimes you have to allow people to be. And I've realized that because I love people, it's not difficult, because I'm able to embrace everybody where they are at. Some common philosophies that guide me are the 7 P's. Prior proper planning prevents pitifully poor performance. So I am a methodical and very organized person, and I have members of my staff. I tell them that scripturally every joint supplies. So what you have, I may not have as a leader, but we are all here to be cohesive, because the most important person in education is not the parent, it's not the principal, the vice principal, the teacher, but they are our young charges who will shape a future generation. So I really try, and I use humility as a guiding point to steer me forward. I really apologize. I have learned to be, to accept that we don't know it all, and we could discuss things. It doesn't have to be toxic. It doesn't have to be in a fragmented culture, or any kind of culture that would lead to the breaking down of the school. But we are all here for the same thing.
That is wonderful to hear, because you're also modeling that behavior for the students and the teachers, because we know children don't learn from what we tell them. They learn from what they observe from our behavior. So I can see how you are setting up a wonderful example to the students, that none of us know everything, and we all need to come with humility to learn. And technically, without humility, we can't learn, because learning requires the understanding that I don't know everything, right? The day I tell everybody I know everything, I stop learning. And therefore, I stop growing. Therefore, I stop evolving. So I am absolutely loving what you're saying, Nadia. And what's coming up for me is, you mentioned O levels, you mentioned A levels. I come from the same British system as 2 former colony islands from 2 different parts of the world, right? So I see that you have the British education system. Do teachers go on to the university to get a teaching degree, a teaching diploma? How does that work?
Well, when I left teaching college, we had our group body. We had always, because I'm very active in the teachers union as well, we advocated for it not to be a diploma, but an associate degree or a degree. In our country, you still have to have your O levels to become a teacher. However, now in the system, like about a few years after I left, now anybody can walk off the streets with their relevant and respective qualifications and enter into, it's no longer training college, is the University of Trinidad and Tobago. Whereas I would have gone for 2 years, they are now going for 4 years, and they are in the teaching system. So it has changed a bit.
Mhm. That's interesting. When you look at some of the challenges you face as a principal and an educator, what are some of those?
Well, change in any environment, though it's inevitable, it takes some time breaking a culture. Like, for instance, where I teach, it's in a low socioeconomic background. So the children are, I would not even say middle class. I live very close to the school, but our school doesn't cater for my community. They cater for the outskirts of my community where the parents, they are not in homes with mother and father. Sometimes it's a stepfather alone. Some of them are with children's authority. They are taken away from their homes. So it's very difficult. Like, we face, in my school in particular, we face high absenteeism. On a daily basis, we have like 75% attendance. And some of the reasons the children are not coming to school, apart from finances, well, of course, no drivers to bring them to the school. Sometimes parents have a lot of children, and the children have to stay home. The older ones, they have to stay home from secondary school to take care of the younger ones. We have situations when children are sick. When you call the parents, the phone numbers are not working, or when you call the parents, they are far away and they can't come. Sometimes you call the ambulance services and they take such a long time to respond. So we have a lot of challenges. And sometimes, if adults are not careful, rather than affect positively the charges that they are responsible for, they become just like the society. So you find, even with our school, we would have had high absenteeism, but really, I'm a really prayerful person, and I believe, as an educator, that level of spirituality, I cannot undermine that and emphasize that enough. Recently, we would have had an intervention of a new school supervisor, and he is excellent because he came from another educational district, but a district fraught with the challenges that I have, and he is really intervening in a positive way. I can really say he is not just talking, but he's walking the talk. He's coming regularly. He's visiting. As a principal, you don't have that knot in your stomach when your supervisor or your superior is visiting you, because he's always coming to give assistance. So we have had interventions in terms of curriculum officers coming, because at my school we have 21 members of staff, but 13 are teachers who have been recently trained. And sometimes when teachers are transferred out of the school, we lose 20 years service as compared to 2 years service. And I'm not saying there is a divide between novice teachers and veteran teachers, but I'm saying sometimes these younger teachers, how we would have learned having gone through the system before, it's different, where they did not have charges before. They just went through the system and they are coming to teach. So it's something that we have to marry, but it is working because we have had positive intervention from our school supervisor.
That is an interesting insight you're sharing, because people from the outside are not going to see it or experience it, right? So understanding that, hearing that gives us food for thought. Two things that jumped out at me. One, the social structure and the setup of society itself is not supportive of the children, right? And therefore not supportive of the education system. And education system itself is for profit, and it is not taxpayer funded. So if you have too many children, the older children are taking care of the younger children. And most of the time, I'm assuming it's the daughters who are home taking care while they're putting the sons through school.
Yes.
Am I right in that assumption?
Most of the times, yes. Most of the times, that's the scenario.
Okay, so that also then has a long-term impact, right? Because research and life experience shows the quality of life for a child and the progress of a child is directly correlated to the intelligence and happiness of the mother. And
Yes.
that the sum of all of that children in that community is the result for the country. So whether we're talking about Belize, whether we're talking about Trinidad and Tobago, all of the countries where there is no family structure, there is no support for the woman, and girls are being pulled out of school to become the second mother, there are long-term negative ramifications. What can we from the outside do to make a positive impact? And how can we build a larger global community to break this cycle? Because it's hard to break the cycle when you're in it. You need allies from the outside.
Well, what we have is a school development plan and an action plan. So we have 8 tenets of it. One of it is physical infrastructure. So we try to get stakeholders, key stakeholder engagement, past students. I'm trying to revamp right now an alumni association where students can assist students who have come to the school in the same setting but who have done well, students who are now doctors, students who are now scholarship winners, who would come and assist. So whether it's painting of the school, fixing of plumbing fixtures, whatever they could do for the school, helping at Universal Children's Day, whatever programs we have, they are coming. Also, some parental programs. At every PTA meeting, I try to empower the parents and let them know that even if they are facing hardships, they have to invest in their children so that their children not necessarily could work and acquire resources to be able to assist them, but to be able to be in a better position and to be more sustainable in the future. So I have been engaging outside help. Most of the times, my family and my personal friends have also been empowering the teachers. So now we have the teachers, whereas I used to be doing most of the talks on the assembly. I have engagement where every week we would have a topic that we want to talk about, those values like commitment, because my school motto is commitment to excellence. So we talk about different things every week and we involve the students from the student council and the students who are prefects to assist. So we talk about things like commitment, gratitude, discipline, things that will help empower the children. And I can say even our school is not where it is, that where we want it to be right now. They are very disciplined. The children are not engaged in bullying activities. Before, we had them loving to play by the toilet areas, the bigger ones taking advantage of the smaller ones. We have a buddy system where they're helping each other and they are pairing. So it's really working along. I've actually witnessed, I live close to the school. I live 5 minutes away and I go to school every day. Like, for school starts at 8:30, I go to school every day like about 7:30, just to be able to interact with the children, to hear where they are at. And sometimes from the office or on the corridors, I would hear them saying, remember the principal talk about this, we can't do this, we need to do that. And they are really trying to be student empowered. Sometimes the boys, they come and say, Miss, we really want to learn. Could you help us read? Because literacy and numeracy they are very, very serious factors in our school that challenge. So we try to do more reading. Teachers are now more willing because they see me giving up my lunchtime. I told them the investment we have to make now may seem great, but in the future it will be better. So now, just a matter of a fact that a teacher is sitting on a bench playing a board game, children will come and ask to discuss, so they are less likely to be involved in negative behaviors because they are seeing the adults willing to work with them.
Thank you. That is a lot of challenges you're facing, and it is a societal issue. The government, the society, and the community around you need to rally. So one of the things I am personally looking forward to doing, Nadia, is to work with you and see how we from Belize and we from the US can be a part of the solution. Because
let me just
take educators from all over to come together to help solve each other's problems.
Because let me just say this, right now we are signing up for the formally the common entrance, the SCA examination, secondary entrance assessment, and out of 64 students who should be sitting this exam on the 10th of April next year, 9 students have not yet come, even though I gave them a deadline of October 31st. They have not come because whose mother cannot be found. The father's name is not on the birth certificate. both parents have died, granny is raising them, granny cannot sign up for the exam. So it's a lot. Sometimes you have to go to the homes to get these parents to do what is their rightful duty.
Wow. And that's a lot on a teacher and a principal. I can see all the challenges. So let's do one thing. While we are having this as a podcast conversation, there is so much more to be done. So let's keep the line of communication open and let's explore how we can do things to be of service. And let's build on this. And with that commitment, I am going to open this up to a live audience because I know they have questions. Go ahead, Robin.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. You are doing so many things to just make life livable and bearable for these students and for your teachers and the families. You can, everyone, the whole audience can totally feel your dedication and your enormous effort. It's a very real thing that teachers experience burnout, because they are faced with so many challenges, only some of which you've described. And I'm wondering, what are some things that you try to do to help your teachers be able to lift themselves up, to be able to overcome discouragement, to see the long view, find the joy in small moments? What are some of the things that you do to help sustain your teachers?
Well, I am a lovable person by nature, and as I said, I'm very humble. So I'm very perceptive, so I usually sense when my teachers are going through something. So I would always send them a little message, send them a song to listen to, send them something for empowerment. I am involved in a lot of groups, and one of the things that I did when it was COVID period in 2021, our Prime Minister would have said that doctors and nurses go beyond the call of duty, and it really resonated with me. I say, so do teachers. Even if we have some miscreants in the system, we have people who really use of their own financial resources. So I started an empowerment group where every day I highlighted a teacher in my country. It could have been 2 years service, 10 years, and I've done it faithfully every day. That's how I met Deborah, and that's how I met Dr. Henry. I met them through someone by the name of Royette Williams, who has positive mindset. So when she has things on, I believe in the training for dyslexia and ADHD and all those things. But you see, mental health, stress relief, I'm always looking for someone to do something like that. For instance, I told my teachers, once you come to school every day and you show me that commitment, if you have personal business too, I have no problem with taking your class and giving you the necessary time up, because life happens at any point in time. So I always give them that mental health break, give them more time than they need allotted for salary time, the extra time. Also, I don't use school funds to do these things. So for instance, for World Teachers Day, I got my family and friends to put up finances, and I got a past student of mine who is into mindfulness. She did upper body massages and she did pedicures for them. That was for free, so we would have rostered the teachers to come. Then I got somebody to come and do blood pressure testing, and just to treat them, to give them a fruit day, a healthy day. Then recently I would have gotten a nurse who is into diagnostic, 39 parts of your body. She would have done each teacher, of course, who was willing to come and do diagnostic to see about their health. And I'm trying to get people to do things like pap smear and mammograms and those things where the teachers don't have to take their days off to go to do these things. So I'm really, really about collaboration, because school is where we spend most of our days. So I am there into getting assistance for the teachers. So I'm always looking. Yes, I believe in the academics, but I believe when you see about people and people are happy, their work doesn't become a job. It doesn't become routine and mundane. They want to come to work because it's not stress. It's a family. And more so, we are just here spending time, but it's the children. And when the children see missing in the upper level is dealing with missing the lower level, and there's no antagonism and any kind of exchange. Children feed off their teachers' energy when we play with them. Those kinds of things. Days that, like for instance, our country recently had a holiday for Diwali on the 31st of October. We know inevitably the Friday would have been a low turnout. I organized a cricket match between the teachers and the students. So it's always a downtime. And now the teachers, recently we had our 24th teaching anniversary. Now the students are writing their school, this is what we need. So they wrote an argumentative essay on why they need to have more break time, because it helps with their mental and their stress level. And so it's allowing them to be able to speak. Nothing is it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. So that is what I want, where I want to be. But of course, I don't have the trust of all my teachers yet, but I am not going to give up. I'm going to persevere this thing through.
That's really amazing. So much creativity. I've never heard of a principal bringing in the doctors, to do the pap smears, to do all the checkups to the school so the teachers could have ready access. You are absolutely being so creative and proactive. I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that amazing question, Robin. And Nadia, this is why I wanted you on the podcast after getting to know you very briefly last week on Miss Deborah's EduBalance, right? So I know Deborah is committed to collaborating with you. I am committed to collaborating with you. So we're going to continue to build on this. But I know Deborah might have a question or a thought to add before we wrap this up. So go ahead, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henry. Thank you, Nadia, for all that you do and you continue to do for education in your community. I can really resonate with so much of what you shared. One of the areas I want to tap on, and it's more a comment, especially teaching in a low socioeconomic community as similar as I do. We will know that as leaders, we face similar challenges, and attendance is one of them. One of the biggest hurdles for us too. It's encouraging to know that we're not alone in navigating these hiccups. It reminds me that we're all striving toward the same goals, even when the journey is so tough. So I just want to encourage you to continue. And as Robin mentioned, such proactiveness, such creative ways of getting your teachers to feel supported, of feeling as if though they belong where they are at your institution. I encourage you to continue this tough fight that we are in as educators.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah. And as we bring this to a close, Nadia, do you have a word of wisdom, a nugget for encouraging teachers and people of the world all around in terms of how we can be a part of the solution? Because what you're facing is not unique to Trinidad and Tobago. It is not unique to Belize. It happens all over the world in all the continents. So what words of wisdom do you have for all of us to become part of that change?
Well, I always live by nuggets of information. So I believe in do good when it is in the power of your hand to do good. If you can't help somebody, at least don't hurt them. Embrace each other. We are all in this race together. The race is not for the swiftest, but it's for those who endure to the end. And I believe in open communication. So if you have something to say, rather than go to pockets of people and tell them, go to the person and say, I have this issue, and claim it. Don't say you made me feel. I always tell my teachers, no human being is so important in the universe that the world or the earth revolves around you. So you have a feeling, go and say, Dr. Henry, not you made me feel this way. I felt embarrassed when you made this comment. You have to own it, because maybe you would have said something, as I say, you may be talking about flowers and poetry. And a child may be happy about flowers because flowers reminded her of a time when her daddy gave her mommy flowers. For another child, it may be a funeral service. So you have to know sometimes when you say something, it may not be that you are throwing words or hurling remarks, but it is people's experiential background. So it's just a matter of having a conversation. And recently I've been telling my teachers, we communicate, but do we connect? because I could be going at a level that you are not ready for. Some people are on par with us, but you don't walk in front of someone, you don't walk behind someone, but you walk beside them and hold their hand, because this race is for us all.
Beautifully said, and I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you so much, Nadia, for everything you do. More than anything else, thank you for the human that you are and the love and kindness and compassion you bring to your very presence, the way you run your school, the way you nurture and guide your students and support your teachers. We need more teachers and principals like you, and education ultimately is the profession that invests and shapes an entire generation. So it behooves all of us who are part of the Goldilocks community and beyond, to understand the power we have to positively impact and energize the educators and the community of educators, because we truly don't know all the struggles they have. They have their own personal struggles in this context, and then they have to solve all their students' struggles so that the students can learn, so that the country can grow and evolve and become who, as a nation, it was intended to be. So in closing, all I want us to remember is take a page from Nadia's message. We're going to go further for longer when we do it together. And in the spirit of Goldilocks, let's find our centeredness. Let's find our kindness, compassion, and the nature of giving and supporting. And let's step into a world of lifting each other up. Thank you.
Looks like it's still recording, Cass.
Yeah, it's still recording. It's not letting me stop. I'll edit it out. I don't know. Oh, you know why? Because I gave the control to Nadia, made her the host.
Hey, Nandini.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, doing
Yeah.
well. We have a bunch of big fires here, but they're way far away from here. They're
Oh.
about an hour away. So
So
I
no.
have two friends who had to evacuate. So
Oh,
Oh my.
yeah. Okay, great to see everybody, and definitely Nadia and Deborah will definitely be in touch, because I said to Cass, I'm already coordinating. I'm going to be the last.
Absolutely. I'll coordinate with you, Robin, and then also coordinate with Nadia and Deborah at the other end.
Yeah, I totally
Thank
have
you.
some stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good
Thank
luck.
you all. Have a
Okay,
good day.
Deborah, thank you so much. And Nadia, it was such a joy.
yes.
You're welcome. I totally enjoy this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nandini.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Weekend,
say
everybody.
to Nadia that it was a very inspirational talk. Even though I was silent and listening, you really, really inspired me to be more humble. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nandini. Nadia, you were amazing.
I was like you touched me last time so much, you and Deborah, in just this space of meeting.
Well, I am committed to, and after having this conversation, even more so. Deborah, I want to meet with you sometime next week to make some plans. What I want to do is work with you to convert EduBalance to a not-for-profit and go get funding. And let's expand and get funding and go and help Belize and Trinidad. Let's do one at a time. Let's hop islands.
Sounds wonderful.
We're women, we're educators, we have an obligation to lift each other up, and in the process, lift everybody's children up.
Thank you. Thank you so much.